Hello, everybody. I'm your host, the one and only Mr. LP STEVENSYKES of Enliven Radio, part of LEGACYINTERNETRADIO.com. Today is a beautiful and warm day. Today is July 8th, 2014, and I hope everybody's enjoying themselves today. And it is a hot day. I think it got around 99 today here in Richmond, or 100, something like that. Wherever you are and across this great land, hot, cold, snug, whatever the case may be, make sure you're getting plenty of liquids and doing all the things you need to do to take care of yourself. Again, today is July 8th, and it's now a little bit after 7 p.m., and we're Enliven Radio. And I want to say hello to all the listeners that are listening through the website, also through the MixLR page, and also on the TuneIn application. As always, I try to open up the show with a prayer so I don't get in trouble with my grandmother. And any of you who are listening, please make sure you tell my grandmother I did do the right thing and said and offered up my prayer before I get in trouble. Dear Lord, thank you very much for the opportunity to share wonderful lessons, enlightenment, and everything else with you, Lord. Please hope that we take your lessons and words to be true, and we do the things that honor you and good Christianship and all around us as well. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Well, today is a very good day. We are going to be joined by a couple of good people today. First person is we're going to be joined today is by Mr. Ellis Crum, who is going to give us a little bit of information on leadership. I asked Mr. Crum to join us every week now because he has offered a lot of great information out there for us, and I wanted to make sure that information gets disseminated out to everybody else on the different levels and different types of leadership out there. Last week we talked about leadership in the home, and today I will let him talk about leadership in a different direction that some of you may not think about. And in addition, we have the wonderful, the talented, and the extraordinary Mr. Cutting Edge, that is Mr. RONBRYANT. He is the illustrator, the art director, the writer, the whole creative team, and his people that work with him, part of Little O on the Hill, and also the GG series that you may have seen online in syndication and throughout various magazines, newspapers around the world. And he has a very interesting and direct take on many things that are happening out there in various communities, not just something within the African American community, but also in communities all around the world. But as they're super scheduled to call in a couple of minutes, but as we wait, there's a couple of issues I want to make sure I tackle and get out there for you. One of the issues I put out there recently in social media was about the words, languages, and things that are used out there. Recently, the last few years, we've come up with a lot of different terms, acronyms, just a variety of different sayings, just to make things cool or new ways that we describe things. Now, this is something that's not new. Recently, years ago, 30-something years ago, bad nouns mean good, thanks to Michael and a few other people before that. Just a variety of different words. But recently, we just got some really strange words that kind of troubles me. We've recently, just now, I think the last few weeks, we've had to show words thought, T-H-O-T. We have H-E-A-U-X, ratchet, deuces, just a variety of different terms. Some of it's come through music that's pressed out there. Some of it comes through gangs, groups, employment, jobs. Who knows where these words come from? But I have a problem with that, and I'll tell you why. Currently, U.S. is in the 20s when it comes to math, reading, and just in overall education, and in terms of ranking with around the nation. And not only we are ranking really bad in the 20s, we're so far behind, and we're supposed to be the number one superpower out there. Now, this is a problem, but we want to sit here and try to put out a lot of different terms and words that have no business. I understand the word duh and things like that you see from Simpsons, but when you start adding different words out there, you're lessening the value of the language, English language, or any language out there who decides to include extra slang. Let slang be what it is, slang. Slang is not meant to be used as formal words in dictionaries. Now you're seeing students and young kids using these words in everyday papers or even in college admission essays. Just a lot of crazy things, and you're wondering why. But then you can't say nothing. Well, you can, but their excuse is, hey, it's in the Oxford Dictionary. Young lady asked, what does the thought means? And thought is another word for hoe, whore, or that's my main girl, whatever the case may be. And these things, I think, has started coming up in slang songs. I don't know, hip hop, rap. I personally do not know, but it's very misogynistic, and I personally do not care for that word. Now, you can say what you want, including you can throw in the N word, the B word, and anything else out there that you want to throw in, but these things have to stop, and we need to work on education. Now, personally, if you are a parent and you hear your children using these terms and anything else out there, I highly suggest that, you get them to stop using it. Now, of course, they may be doing other things outside of the home that you may not be around to regulate. But if you do the right thing and bring them up accordingly, and then granted, sometimes kids, yes, will go out and do their own thing. But if you do the right thing, they will understand that these words are really not to be used as everyday language, and it's okay to use. That is not the case. And we need to do things about how we can do better. So one of those things out there, just really try to improve our reading. There's several different reading programs. One of the things I've encouraged every year to do is that, hey, we need to get out there and read, do more things to get us out there. But unfortunately, our children out there are not learning to read. They're playing around. Now, granted, summer, it's time for you to get out there and, have fun and relax a little bit in some cultures. I understand that. But it still doesn't hurt to read. One of the things I've encouraged people out there to do is read a book once a week at minimum. Preferably, I think it was required in some homes, 250 or no less than 250, 300-page books each week that you are out of school, or just each week in period in your life, as long as you're in that house. And I think that's a good practice to have. We really need to have some things. We have a caller. Let's see what we have coming along here. Hello. Welcome to Enliven Radio, part of LegacyInternetRadio.com. Who do we have on the line today?
Hey, this is Coach Ellis.
Hey, Coach Ellis. How you doing today, sir?
Good, Mr. LP. How you doing?
I'm doing great. We were just talking about you a little bit earlier about the blessings that you've been giving us about leadership. And I greatly appreciate you taking the time out to share your thoughts with us.
Well, great. I appreciate the opportunity to share these transformational tidbits.
Yes, sir. So last week we talked about leadership in the home. This week we're talking about leadership in the form of creativity and thinking and getting yourself out of a box. Tell us a little bit of your thoughts, sir.
Well, let's first of all start with the box. How do we define the box? Here's the problem with most people with the box, is that we define the box, the parameters in which we must operate in. And if we are given parameters to operate in, are we truly leading, or are we following in someone else's footsteps? The idea of leadership is to think not outside the box, but destroy the walls of the box altogether. For leadership means that I take initiative over and beyond what has been prescribed to me. Here's the bottom line, Mr. LP, that we're all destined, most of us, if we understand how we're designed and why we're designed that way, that's our design and our purpose, and then we live within our destiny, then the box cannot hold our greatness. And we're all destined for greatness. We're destined for greatness because that's how the universe, cosmos, nature, or God, whatever you describe it is, has designed us. None of us are designed to be mediocre. None of us are designed to be average. None of us are designed to be just okay. We're designed to change the world and to be great. In order to be that way, we must. Carl Sagan says everything is within this box, and that is the limit of the universe. But I submit to you that if we believe in a higher being, that the box is too small to hold what the higher being has designed, and that's our personal greatness. So here's a transformational tidbit. If you want to be great, you must think independent of the box, not just out of the box, but independent of the box. There are no boundaries when it comes to expressing greatness. Well, what those boundaries are, what those rules are, what those systems are, well, there's somebody else's idea of what worked for them. And if you think outside the box, they're going to think it's crazy. They're going to think it's stupid. But one wise man once told me, if it's stupid but it works, it ain't stupid. Think outside the box. Destroy the box, because the box cannot hold your greatness.
Now, I have two questions with that, sir. You said if it's say your phrase again, if it's stupid.
If it's stupid but it works, it ain't stupid.
But now, what would you say to those who, let's say, use one of the comments I was going into earlier was about words, these new slang words that people are pushing to Oxford or other dictionaries to try to say it's okay to use, but we know that these words are inappropriate, and to me they're stupid, but it's working because it's still making money. What do you say to the excuse of that, playing devil's advocate here?
Well, it depends on what you consider working. Okay? Is making money working? Or is changing the society working? Or is, how do we define working? How is it that your personal greatness defines working?
I'm a rapper.
And I would submit to you, KRS was successful at rapping without denigrating or changing the definitions of words. There's something we got to be careful about. Got to be very careful about this. There is a theological perspective that submits this. If you call evil good and good evil, then you have in effect decided you know better than the Almighty. And what I would submit to you is that those things there are absolutes. There are things that are just absolutely wrong. They're absolutely right. And if you confuse the two, no matter how much money you make, you cannot be successful. Success is not measured by the money you make. It's measured by the lives you change.
Now, what if to do if someone does not have the knowledge or the ability to know what is made for them? Let's say you mentioned earlier that Destin found himself. There's many people, young and old. There's people who 70, 80 years old still have not found themselves. What do you do? What do you say to them?
Well, if you're 70 years old and you haven't found yourself, it's not too late. But if you're 70-year-old and haven't found yourself, my thought is shame on you. If you're 50 years old and you haven't found yourself, shame on you. And the reason I say that is, if you haven't found yourself, that simply means you do not know who you are. You don't know who you are, and you don't know why you are that way. And the reason you don't know is, in many cases, you haven't asked the pertinent questions and paid the price to understand the answer. So it's not that the universe hasn't opened up and shown you. It's not that the world hasn't provided an opportunity for you to know. You've chosen to ignore it because you've chosen over conviction. And I can say that with conviction because there is a universal law that simply states that when you live within the confines or you live within the scope of your design and your purpose, your destiny speaks for itself. Thereby, your legacy is secured. So if you don't know by the time you're 50, you don't know by the time you're 40, you haven't listened to what life is telling you. Now, it's very simple. Some people don't know how to listen to what life is telling them. Yes. And that's incumbent upon parents, teachers, pastors, coaches, to help people understand how to listen. But there is no one blinder than he who will not see. There's no one who's deafer than he who will not hear. Sometimes, many times, you've been taught how to see and hear, but you've chosen, because it challenges you, to improve your lot. And you're afraid to be different. You're afraid to be an outcast. You're afraid to be separated, when in fact, that's what you're called to be. None of us are called to be status quo. All of us are called to be great.
Amen. And then everybody has their own definition of what that great's supposed to be.
Yep. And because each one of us is uniquely designed, our personal place of greatness is unique to who we are.
Amen.
So, mine might be in music. Yours might be in poetry. Someone else's might be in art. Someone else might be in literature. Someone else might just be in the ability to lift someone else's spirit. Whatever the case is, it is uniquely yours. And what is yours cannot be taken away. It can only be misused by you.
Amen. Amen. I thank you so very much, sir, because that is so very true in so many different ways. And I appreciate you taking the time out to give us a call and let us know how your thoughts on this.
Great. Well, please continue to have these transformational conversations.
Thank you, sir. And how can people contact you? Also, your website and your shows and information on that, sir.
People can catch us on Blog Talk Radio on Sundays for Why Church People. We talk about them church folks. Or they catch us on Thursday nights for Life Principles, as we talk about the principles to help us in our faith, our finances, and our family relations. They can catch me at lifecoachellis@gmail.com or on my website at elliscrum.net.
I thank you very kindly, sir, and please enjoy yourself in the evening, and we'll catch you next week, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. LP.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, everybody, we really just got some good information there to help us learn some lessons, to help gain some insight and, how you find yourself, how to get the leadership within your own self before you start disseminating information and be a leader. Everybody wants to lead, but not everybody can lead. Even with yourself, you can't even ask others to lead you unless you know how to lead yourself. And we have to start with that and finding yourself and going on from there. So there's many different directions you can go with that. A little bit later on, we're going to have Mr. Cutting Edge join us shortly. But I also want to go over a couple of things that troubled me over this holiday weekend. Recently, we had a lot of shootings in Chicago. I believe something to the effect of 22 shootings over a 3 or 4 day weekend. Why? Now, is this a situation people want to dismiss? Economy, just a bunch of poor black people, poor white people, just poor people in general, economy, all these different things. Yes, includes those things, but also a lot more. And then what it boils down to is a couple of things. One, people's just lack of faith and belief in themselves. Two, and probably the more important thing in the world, common sense. Now, in a lot of situations, a lot of young men and women, various ages, I understand that many people did not have both parents, one or both parents home. People worked 2 or 3 jobs, and sometimes you had to raise yourself up on the street. Now, to be honest with you, I don't buy this excuse anymore. personally and never bothered in the general, and I'm going to tell you why. Regardless, not saying anybody out there is perfect. I'm not. My grandmother wasn't. Anybody. There's a lot of different things you could do out there that's just dead in front of you if you choose to open your eyes. Why so many people were shot? There's no reason for this. There is none. The excuse was about the gun laws. Yes, that played a part, but a lot of it is common sense. You have kids, you never know. Kids are out there all times of day and night. Should not be, but kids are out there, and you're just shooting. You shouldn't be shooting at all. There's a bunch of different ways to handle conflict. A lot of people do not understand the principles of conflict resolution. And you're seeing people going out, shooting, and doing all these different things. There is definitely not a need. One of the situations that was taken out is these after-school programs. Kids don't have anything to go, anywhere to go. We need to find more ways of getting employment, steady, proper employment for many adults. And in addition, is we have to get out there. What's a better word for it? Just provide that one job. Let's pay people properly. That one job, instead of working two $8 an hour jobs, if you're lucky to get $8 instead of $7.50, and you're working to try to take care of home, whether you're both parents or one parent, you should really look to just have one job that try to pay 12, 11, and 13. Because by the time you work both those jobs, the taxes coming out of you is just going to kill you. So why not make it easier for everybody and make things more affordable? Stop the stealing. Stop all these different things. The statistics I got from NPR, I'm sorry, one day was 21, but overall the 4th of July weekend, 82 people were shot, 14 people killed. You know, just situations like that is just unbelievable and it should never happen. Thank you, Miss. Thank you for everybody listening on the MixLR page and the webpage of LegacyInternetRadio.com, and also on the TuneIn application. We see Miss Michelle K. Robertson. Thank you very much for listening, and Miss Mahogany. Thank you very much for listening to us as well. She made a very quality good point. She said, Les Brown says common sense is not common practice. Unfortunately, that's true. We live in this society. I say it all the time on my Facebook page, social media, other social media pages, personally, privately. We live in this situation of, I know Coach Crumbs calls it a millennium age. I call it a defiant age. We've gotten too much into this, don't tell me what to do society. We got into this, don't tell me how to raise my kids, leave them alone, don't do this. Don't tell me how to live my life, what have you. So probably all these different years of all these different generations getting our butts whipped for acting a fool, somewhere around the 70s and 80s with all the people being thrown in jail, lack of jobs, or just people just getting in the attitude and saying, look, don't tell me what to do. Now, we've grown up without that, and also now the children are growing up without that. And now we're stuck with 2 to 3 generations of getting worse and worse and worse with their attitudes and beliefs of how to get along. I recently told a young man about a business name. I was for some reason, it was just straight down the middle. I've had it about maybe when I mentioned it and I was online and other places. I probably say I've had about maybe 130, 140 people commented on it or told me in person or emails. About maybe 20 or 30 people were like, you know, they shouldn't do it, what have you. We need to do better. About 100 people were saying, don't tell me what to do. What's their right is my right, whatever. I understand it's all those different type of things. But just as much as when you felt it was your right to do something, whether it was you as younger, above or under 18, there was still somebody tapping you on the shoulder. Yo, hey, young man, hey, young girl, don't do this. Don't hang out the street. Keep your dresses a little bit lower. Stop showing everything. Stop grabbing yourself. All these different things that somebody took time out to do. Now you tell somebody, don't tell me what to do. What makes you think you better than me? Why tell me? People need to kind of just open their minds up and say, look, we need to stop this. You know, there's a better way of doing stuff. Also, recently, There was an article, I think it was posted the other day, or today. New York mother is in custody of leaving a baby on a platform. Now, I was just fathom and just total disgusted when I see situations like this. Now, we have tons of different adoption agencies. Heck, you can just leave it at the baby at the police station, the church. You just leave it at the church or the police station or in front of somebody's house and knock on the door and run off. At least do that. But you're going to leave kids at a subway where someone else could take, kidnap the kids, sell the child. Child grows up and not knowing what's going on. Or you've seen this with young girls. All these different things. Why? And we need to stop this. First and foremost, I want to tell you a little story that my grandmother told me. She said, and forgive the language, I'm not going to be gross with the language, but I'm going to do the best I can here. Said, Stephen, when you get older, I want you to understand something. That your stuff is not gold. That woman's stuff is not gold. You can paraphrase whatever you want into the word stuff, but your stuff is not gold. Her stuff is not gold. Don't act like it. Even if it was, not everything that's gold is meant for you to touch. Keep it in your pants. Don't go touching everything, and you will be just fine. Also, if you decide to have a child, that child should not be fought back and forth in the courts. Family courts should have been for adoption for those who, if you need to adopt a child, somebody's celebrity kids money, or there's an orphan from a death in the family and no one's a care. Certain situations, I can get that. But if you have a child, preferably you're married, okay? But if you're not, okay, we need to work on that because almost 79% of kids in African American and black family homes are born out of wedlock. We need to stop that. But for those who are not, and those who choose to have a child without being married, okay. But have a child with somebody that has some common sense. Forget about the one-night stands, the guy you wish you didn't sleep with, whatever the case may be. Let's start the practice of having a child with somebody that's got something for themselves. Too many people are doing things where they're having a child with, or either, whether you're married, cheating, whatever the case, improper situation with that, and then you're compounding with a previous relationship or other children, and that you cannot provide or take care of in the first place, or the one-night stand and the aforementioned things. Have a child with somebody that has as much to lose as you. If you're some banker, CEO, earning millions of dollars or whatever the case may be, or you're a manager, or you got yourself a good job or house, whatever decent, and you're trying to hold on and make the best that you can for yourself, but you're sleeping around with the girl that you met at the club that's just shaking it and smoking weed, and she's just willing to hook up with you for the night. You didn't use protection, so now you're risking your life, and then now, on top of all of that, you got the girl pregnant, and she's going to try to rip you to shreds. Same thing for girls as well. Both of you. Think about what you're doing. So, continuing on with what my grandmother was saying, make sure that you have some type of agreement. You don't need to be going back and forth to court with. If you have to fill out some paper to say this week you got it, this week you got it, so on, so I have to pay this much money, whether it be the male or female, then you really should not be having a child with that person in the first place. That's the God honest truth. Because I'm going to tell you, life, nothing hits you harder than God in life. I could take care of what type of punch, whatever you think you can take physically or emotionally. But let me tell you, nothing hits harder than God with life. And sometimes things happen. Heck, Lord knows if I had to give up $400 or $500 a month on child support, what would happen to me? Same thing for women. Because it's not just simple, the woman is always going to get the money. No. Judges out there are now realizing the game that both men and women are playing. So, really need to kind of have a gauge of what you're supposed to do in life and make sure it just tie it together, okay? Keep it tight, wear some protection, stop having so many children outside of wedlock if all possible, Lord willing, and do the right thing. Put those children in daycare, put those children in foster care, send them adoption, whatever the case may be. If you just cannot take care of the child in the daytime or long term or just permanently, there are other options out there. Let's look at those things, people. Okay? We're going to take a small commercial break, get back to everybody, and we'll definitely talk to you shortly. You behave yourselves, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Independence is key to building your legacy. Legacy Internet Radio, the place to be for socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. Broadcasting 6 days a week live from the den. Legacy Internet Radio, the exclusive home to Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J on Monday nights. Tuesday giving you Enliven Radio, the Green Room version 2.0 with Jay Grizzy and Lissa P on Wednesdays. Thursday nights you've got All Throttle Radio and Clutch, the sports show for you on Friday nights. All weeknight shows starting at 7 p.m. And then on Saturday, starting at noon, we've got the P Show. Immediately following that show, we've got Did They Just Play That, the throwback. And in and out our week, we've got Deep House Sessions with DJ Renee Melendez every single Saturday night at 7 p.m. Legacy Internet Radio, the place to be for socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. Independence is key to building your legacy. Legacy Internet Radio.
Tired of wearing that same old raggedy t-shirt to group events, civic, and work situations? Then why don't you check out our folks, Live Action Captions. They offer t-shirt services here in the Richmond and Tri-City area, offering multicolored direct-to-garment printing at an affordable price. Guess what? No charge for changing colors for a design either. Pick and choose whatever you want out of the rainbow. No minimums at all. Discounts at 25 or more. If you'd like to rock one of these hot shirts that we here at Legacy Internet Radio do, then you can get with Live Action Captions at 804-640-7180. Again, that's 804-640-7180. And for all the folks who don't like to use the telly, we got it on the internet at live-action-captions at comcast.net. Again, live-action-captions at comcast.net, and at that same title on Facebook and Instagram. No need to worry about it shrinking. We got you covered. Live Action Captions.
Holistic care for the mind, body, and spirit. Free Spirit Enterprises, LLC is a parent company for Organic Creations, Jewelry by Design, Miller Publishing, and Consultation Services. Organic Creations offers you the best in natural homemade skin and hair care products. Jewelry by Design allows you, the customer, to design your own jewelry as it is custom made just for you. Thinking of self-publishing a book or novel? Check out Miller Publishing and Consultation Services. Free Spirit Enterprises is where holistic care meets mind, body, and spirit. Visit us at freespiritenterprisesco.biz. That's freespiritenterprisesco.biz. Or you can call 804-252-6562. Like us on Facebook under Free Spirit Enterprises, LLC.
This is Marcus J. of Legacy Internet Radio, and this segment of our show is sponsored by the Doctor of Optometry, Dr. Euphemia Huggins-Williams, ODPC. She's my eye doctor, y'all, and she makes sure that everything is great and copacetic with my eyes, making sure I don't have any glaucoma, any cataracts, stigmatisms, or anything like that. So call her up at 804-327-1640, 804-327-1640, or drop by at 712446 Forest Hill Avenue, Suite B in Richmond, Virginia, 23225.
As always, we got more and more great things coming to you here at Enliven Radio. And hello, welcome to Enliven Radio, part of LegacyInternetRadio.com. And who do we have on the line today?
You have Ron Bryant. How are you, my brother?
I'm doing all right, sir. Thank you so very much for calling in, sir. Everybody, we have the man, the myth, the legend. If you don't know, you better ask somebody. You better just sit back and
it is a pleasure, bro. It is a pleasure to finally talk to you, my friend.
The pleasure is mine. I'm going to give everybody 5-10 seconds. Make sure you find it. Look, if you got your phone, your Android devices, you can't do nothing on those iPhones. I'm sorry. But if you got your Android devices, make sure you're listening. Play the tape. If you got a cassette plate, hold it up against the phone, against the speaker, what have you. Listen. If you got your kids around the house, call them in. Sit them down, tell them to shut up, turn off the phone, put it on mute, and pay attention because we're going to get schooled.
Hey, look, first and foremost, you and the crew are doing an incredible job. It's an honor, it's a blessing, it's a pleasure, and I'm just honored, man, and I'm humbled, man, that you invited me on your show. And keep doing your thing. You know, you're opening eyes, you're enlightening people. You know, you're spreading the knowledge, and I really appreciate what you're doing, man. I appreciate you. Much love.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir, first off, for those who don't know, if they don't know, I'm very sorry, but we're going to help them out. Tell us, who is Mr. Ron Bryant? A little bit about yourself.
Mr. Ron Bryant is the creator of Cutting Edge Cartoons and GG. And I've been an editorial cartoonist for over 20 years. I've worked for several newspapers and magazines. I've worked on a couple of web pages, Black America Web. I've done some work with Michael Baston. I've been around for quite a while. But, you know, the thing is this. You know, who I am and what I do haven't been much knowledge until social media. So once I was out there in social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, people start to recognize my who I am and my work, and that has been an incredible journey, man. It's been awesome.
And sir, I followed. Did not know until recently, obviously, that you were the one behind the Little O and the Hill. For years, for a while, I followed that. And a lot of the political cartoons I've seen online and some newspapers. A few years back, when I was in Germany, and some other international papers that they get from the U.S., and they had your comic, a couple of your comics out there, or sayings, and I was like, "Wow, he's over here too," and I was just astonished, and I was just very happy that you're out there doing. Your thing and helping everybody else out there, and I'm just more power to you.
Well, man, I appreciate. We are far and few, and when I say we, I mean African American cartoonists, man. I mean we are. There aren't many of us out there, and those who are out there, we don't get a lot of exposure, and unfortunately, the black media. When I mean media, I'm referring to the black newspapers, really aren't stepping up to the plate to give us the type of exposure like mainstream media gives to our mainstream counterparts. So, we've been pushing, we've been fighting, we've been struggling, and you're struggling on both ends. You're struggling because when you look at the type of topic issues that Cutting Edge is thrown out there. It's not exactly mainstream media kind of coffee and cake. You know what I'm saying?
But it should be. That's the thing. It should be.
You're right. It should be, but it's not. And I've worked with some really wonderful editorial cartoonists, Mike Ruckovich, the late Doug Marlette, and and they said, well, there's this stuff have a tendency of being a little edgy, but for mainstream newspapers, mainstream media, it just tends to be a little bit more on the darker in, so to speak. And then when you have the African American press, well, my experience with them is they're more interested in those advertising dollars versus trying to give the art form its proper due. So you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. But thanks to social media, thanks to the internet, we can now take our message, take our art form directly to the people. And let me tell you, man, it has been the reception has been warm. It's been loving. I've met an enormous amount of friends, including yourself, and it's just been an awesome journey.
Let me ask you a question, sir. Why is it, I got so many topics in my head and questions here, so please forgive me. Why is there a lack of black cartoonists? Like, there's not, it's an art form that many people out there, I've seen, you and I both seen many people out there, animators, drawers, whatever the case may be. But so many few in the black community where if we do draw, it's always this stuff with the T-shirts, or maybe some cars or some new guns, or they're making these new sneaker designs. But they're not taking the ideas and putting them into stories. You're seeing more and more celebrities out there. I want to say Whoopi Goldberg, a few others that come to my mind that are now out there trying to do kids' cartoons or kids' stories or whatever the case be. There's a lady that's part of our group, Kimberly Adams, who is trying to do cartoons and to write children's books. We're not seeing a lot of people pushing to do with those type of skills, pushing to do cartoons and get them out there like you have.
Well, the problem is that there's a certain stigma associated with being an African American cartoonist. And not only that, you've got to deal with the same thing that African American actors and actresses have to deal with when it comes to Hollywood. Now, in my line of work, okay, they deal with Hollywood, I deal with syndicates. So if I submit my work to a syndicate, they're gonna slam it and say, look, your stuff just will not appease to our audience. And that is what I've heard for many, many years. So you have these doors that are constantly trying to close on you because the stigma associated with being an African-American cartoonist. Most African-American cartoonists deal with African-American topics, deal with certain perspectives of what's going on in our community. And that's our responsibility. I mean, that's what we have to do. I mean, some of us kind of go to the wayside, and it's more about the Benjamins, and that's all good. But if you're trying to create a platform for the next generation, you know, that next generation has to understand where the past generation had to deal with, and the history behind our culture and what we do as cartoonists. I mean, look at George Herriman. George Herriman was an African American, and he is considered the greatest cartoonist who ever lived. He influenced Charles Schultz. He influenced Bill Watterson, Calvin Hobbes. He influenced Blondie. Yet he had to wear a hat when people took photos because of his kinky hair. He didn't want people to know that he was African American. But he created one of the greatest cartoons that was ever made, Crazy Cat. It was an incredible piece of art, an incredible comic strip. It was pure poetry. But yet he wore a hat because he didn't want to expose his kinky hair. So it's that stigma associated with being African American. I think society is coming to grips with certain things, but they still having an issue with the issues that we deal with. They're having issues with it. They just can't deal with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, indeed. Were you ever told, okay, before you put this comic out or this picture or this illustration, you need to change it up a little bit? How did you needed, like, okay, make them a different color or not make it so quote unquote black or whatever the case may be? Did you ever face situations like that? And in addition, how did you overcome or deal with conflict in that situation?
Well, I've never dealt with that because I self-syndicated my work. And I've been able to broaden my base by different characters. I mean, I've had characters that were white, they were black, they were Martian, they were weird. I mean, I've covered them all. My first publication was in East Carolina University. The comic strip was called, my first comic strip was at East Carolina University in Greenville, North Carolina. It was called Doc Dog. I mean, he was a dog, and the staff and the students loved that comic strip. And then I did another strip called Thinkster. And when I was in Atlanta doing some of my more aggressive stuff, I was working for a newspaper, the New Age News, and the comic strip was called The Enlightening Adventures of New Age Man. And, you know, it catered towards a New Age base. I never dealt with a publisher other than a syndicate. I never dealt with a publisher telling me, hey, you know, you need to lighten this thing up, you know, tighten it up. Actually, the only magazine I dealt with that told me that, and they got rid of me, was Upscale Magazine. They said my work was too dark. And that was African American magazine. And they said my work was just too dark.
And Upscale is struggling as it is.
and they're struggling right now. And the other, I worked with Black American Web for about a year. And my work just didn't, although my audience loved my work. I got a lot of feedback from different people from different walks of life. They were professors, politicians, doctors, janitors, plumbers. They all was feeling what I was drawing. Black American Web was like, hey, you know, your stuff is just. We got to try something different. And they went on with J. Anthony Brown cartoons, which didn't last long. So, other than that, I had more. I decided to take control of what I drew and what I wrote about, and what I wanted to, what I had an opinion about, and I decided to self-syndicate myself. And I've been self-syndicating over 50 newspapers, and that's a small number when you compare me to mainstream artists, which are syndicated in over 400, 500,000 papers. But those were my papers. I call the shots. If they don't like the work, fine. You know, they would not run a cartoon. They go with the next cartoon, but. For the most part, I never really had that issue because I decided early that I was going to call the shots and this is how I was going to run with it. I wasn't going to compromise. This is what I was going to do. This is what I was going to discuss. The same, if you notice, Steve, in my work on Facebook, I don't compromise.
No, it's straight to the point.
It's straight to the point. I don't compromise. Like, you know, a person don't have to agree with it, but I don't compromise. And that's how I played the game back in the day when I was suffocated in newspapers. And the way the publishers handle it and the editors, they say, okay, we can't run this one, but we can run that one. We can't run this one, but we'll run that one. So they never asked me to compromise my opinion. They didn't like it. They just didn't run it. Plain and simple.
Let me ask you this. Did you ever draw a cartoon, an illustration, or something that you backtracked because you put a lot of thought into every single one? Did you ever have to change one because you realized after the fact either the facts were different than what you originally found, or you felt like maybe we all aspire to be round characters in terms of growth? And you
wow, man, that's a heavy question because no, I've never had to retract. I never had to step back and retract and say, hey, maybe I was a little over the top, or maybe I didn't get my information right. No, not one cartoon, not one. And even the latest one I did a few months ago with Lapita and this whole Nicki Minaj controversy. Mm-hmm. I keep looking at it because I got a lot of fallback on that. But it wasn't from regular folk. It wasn't from people who usually come over to my Facebook page or to my website. It was from the media. You know, folks who were like who like to talk about the stars and report on what they like to do. You know, they slammed me hard on that cartoon because they felt like, hey, why do you got basically they said, why do you have to uplift one sister in the process slam another?
You didn't. To me, you didn't slam. You told the truth that this is not what we're supposed to be doing.
Exactly. And the thing is, they were mostly women. It were black women who were slamming me, who were saying the cartoon was off target. And my thinking is this: if it takes a village to raise the village, then, you know, when the village is off track, you tell the village is off track. Okay? You don't have certain parts of the village. You don't give them free reign to do what they want to do because they made a certain amount of money. And truth is, hey, as a people, we all have to be held accountable. And I say this to some of the sisters. And not all of them, because the sisters who know me, they know me, okay? But those sisters who decide to slam me, all I have to say is this. You know, hold the sisters accountable the same way we hold the brothers accountable. Because I've slammed Nicki Minaj, I've slammed Lil Wayne, I've slammed a whole bunch of people. But what I find interesting is this, Stephen. You know, when I slammed Nicki Minaj, the sisters all down my throat. But when I slammed Lil Wayne, they were giving me all the praise in the world. They would say, "Way to go, way to go." He slammed, you know, he called, you know, he always had negative things to say about the sisters. He doesn't like dark-skinned women, blah, 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 blah.
But Nicki Minaj is the same thing. She spawned parts of her success is from him, and the issue is because there's a ton of rappers of male. There are not many mainstream female rappers out there that's still doing it, which I don't understand. You know, you still have Queen Latifah out there. You still got MC Light out there. They may not be doing everything 9 to 5 rapping, but you have positive images of strong black women. You have Salt and Pepper, for God's sakes. Now, granted, we're talking people our ages, but they still significant. You still see people going off everything else, and people still trying to say Foxy Brown, Little Kim from 10, 12 years ago in their heyday. I'm sorry, that's still trash just as much. And you have, but people don't understand this, and then you see all these positive images. It's perfectly right there. You even have something you don't see. You see it more and more now, but for a long time you didn't see any black dolls out there. And if you did, you had to either go to New York or somewhere in special order it. Now you did not have to necessarily fight as hard to get one, and you're putting out an opportunity, and people are not getting it.
No, they're not, and we're you know, we're at a time now. We're in a very, very critical time, and the problem is this: okay, you have to make a choice in life. You have to make a choice. Is it going to be about your contribution to the whole, or your contribution to the one? And if you choose to contribute to the one, then you become a self-centered, egotistical, narcissistic individual who only is interested in getting what you want,
which is that dollar.
And thank you. And let me tell you something, man. Let me tell you something. The problem is this: I find that more of a threat to me than mainstream, some parts of mainstream America. When we have some of us who are more interested in that high dollar, that holy dollar, than they are in the greater good of the community.
I tell that all the time. You don't know how many times I'm slammed, and friends, people, what have you, when they look at, so what, they're making money. Obviously, they doing something right. When I mention Jay-Z, when I mention Beyonce, when I mention something else. Sure, they're making money, but at the end of the day, is that right? I was soundly criticized. And I think you commented on that when he made comments to Halle Belafonte. And I was like, that's just so disrespectful. And considering all these people, the Doors, that you open, and then I straight called Oprah a sellout for not standing beside Halle Belafonte, and you trying to say just to play the cards in between so you can stay good, you're gonna say they both right? Really? There's nothing right in what Jay-Z did.
Nothing. Let me tell you something, man. You see, this is the problem. The problem is that some of us, we don't know our history. So if you know the history of Harry Belafonte, then you already know, hey, okay, that brother sacrificed his career. He gave up his own fortune, his own wealth to support the civil rights movement. He did things that I can't think of an artist out there, okay, like a Jay-Z, that will even come close to doing. I mean, I just can't think of one. All right. So if you know what these people have done for us to get us where we are today, then you could better understand why Harry Belafonte said what he said. And you have to respect him. You have to honor him for everything that he has done and what he's doing.
Because to be honest with you, there's certain people in there you just have to, whether you agree or not, because of what they've done, sometimes you just have to swallow your tongue to sit there and take it up the backside if you have to. He's one of them.
Well, it's like this, man. I mean, I can have a cat, man. I can have a cat on Facebook say, hey, man, I love your page. I've been following you for about a year. And then I can draw a cartoon and they don't agree with it. They leave me just like that. But see, this is the deal. You don't want, that's not a family member. Family members don't agree on everything. And family members argue. Family members fuss. But the thing is about being family is this. When family go outside that house, that family member, that family is together, and we are fighting against the rest of the world. And the problem with some of us is we're not acting like family members. So we can agree on some things, we could disagree on other things, but when it comes to us being together, we have to stick together on core issues. And I can tell you right now, the whole thing that fell out with Harry Belafonte, to me, on so many levels, was just absolutely stupid. I mean, because it was clear as day. There was no shades of gray. Harry Belafonte was a strong activist. He was a civil rights icon. He's still a civil rights icon, and he's a senior. I mean, what else can you say? I mean, you have to respect a man. And a Jay-Z, a man like Jay-Z, in my opinion, should look at a man like Harry Belafonte and just, he had to sit down and take your spanking like a man and listen to an older man who has been there, who has been through more than a man like Jay-Z can possibly go through.
Amen to that. Now, sir, tell us a little bit about, I'm going to work backwards a little bit. Your main, and correct me if I'm wrong, you've been doing the syndicate thing for a very long time. The first major one that I caught on to was The Little O in the Hill. But there were some others before that one.
Well, The Little O in the Hill was an idea. It was modeled after President Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama. And before then, I really wanted to show my strong support for the president, considering all the hell that he was going through. I mean, now, let me make something clear. I got to clear this up, because I know, and I want everybody to know out there, that President Obama is not God. He's not Jesus. I don't see him as the answer to all. What I see is a intelligent, educated African-American man who is doing everything he can to make this country better, for not just for African-Americans, but for all Americans. So he is an American. And I saw the backlash. I saw the issues coming from the right that was trying to destroy that man and his family and destroy his presidency. And that's when I decided to create something that was a little more settled, something a little softer, but hit on the same issues, and that's when I created Little O on the Hill. The comic strip itself had a little bit of an audience, but it did not it did not fare well. I mean, it didn't catch on. But the reason why it didn't catch on because when I created Little O on the Hill, my audience was a little narrower. I think if I went for a more progressive audience, which more to the left, like a Rachel Maddow, Al Sharpton, Ed Schultz audience, then it would have caught on. But the direction Cutting Edge Cartoons was going, Little O on the Hill just did not take off the way I wanted to take off. That doesn't mean that the strip wasn't a good strip, and it doesn't mean that I'm not going to do it again because I have every intention of bringing that back because I love the strip, and I would like to have something chronicle, some sort of chronicle of President Obama's presidency and some of the issues that he had to deal with in these past few years.
I thought it was a great idea. I'll be the first to tell you. And you've seen some of my posts. I'm not the biggest fan, and it's not because I'm on the right or on the left. It's just that. But I understand that there's a certain level of quiet grace. I felt that everybody ran to support him because he was black. A lot of people, for one. I felt that people just supported him because he was unfairly getting all these attacks and all these other different things that were just unjust. Okay, we're just going to support him because he's just constantly getting beat up, so we need to stand up, support him. Okay, but, they were fussing at him for unsubstantiated things versus things that were substantiated, and that didn't make sense. So that was where my issues were when it comes to Obama, and I felt like until maybe just recently that when it came to us, there were not a lot of issues out there. I don't think he was to have the answers for everything, but I think that people took it as a means of I could just act a fool and do whatever they wanted, and just so many other different things. So that's where I took it, but I found a lot of strength and understanding through your strips. And a lot of patience and decor with it, and I think that's the subtle take that you took with it. I think resonated that there was a level of patience that everybody said, "Well, he's learning on a job." What president does not learn on the job?
Yeah, exactly. When you think about I look at it. I mean, when I look at my comic strip, Little O on the Hill, and how I drew while he was dealing with Oliphant and his counterpart, Democrat Buddy. My perspective on President Obama's presidency is just a little different. And when I see the whole world, when I see Little O's world, I see a pretty chaotic world. And I see a world that is not chaotic because of him. I see that it's chaotic because of all of us. And he's just kind of thrown in there. He's trying to clean the mess up. Now, if you know that the world is chaotic, and you know the world has a lot of issues, you know it's messy, then you can't expect one man to fix everything. Now, I can tell you right now, my so-called black nationalist brothers, they're not too fond of President Obama, and I can understand. But the truth is this. If you really understand the world and how the world works, you know that in a world of politics, in a world that is so as dark as it is, there has to be made some compromise. And I can tell you right now, if President Obama has done more for our people, if he would have done more, and he would have pushed more, and look, don't get me wrong, I'm not making excuses for him not doing as much, because quite frankly, in many ways, we are at fault for him not doing more, because we don't understand politics. We don't understand politics like the Asian community. We don't understand politics like the Latino community. And the political world dictates that whoever has the power, whoever knows how to control the money, how to spend their money, how to vote, they are the ones they're going to listen to. And we aren't there yet.
I agree with you. We probably need another.
Okay.
We probably need another. Obviously, we're not going to get it with him, but we need more years because, and I will tell you why. There's a no other president. Any other president is not going to speak or have the experiences. Not saying that the others have not, because many other presidents have gone through their own personal hell. But But at the same time, to certain things, you're not going to understand. You're not going to have the inherent fear, the inherent frustration, the inherent waking up, seeing when you cross the street, the understanding, okay, someone's sitting here, they're not going to give you the job. Whatever the case may be, you're not. The average person is not going to get the understanding as someone of his situation is, who is a mixed American. And I personally don't prefer calling him a black president because I personally don't want to disrespect his heritage. What anything else, he's from two different cultures.
Right.
So I kind of it bother. There's nothing I can do about it. But it's somewhat misknown that he's not a black president. He's mixed. And I tell people all the time, "Oh, is America was ready for a black president now?" No, you weren't. Because to be honest with you, if Obama looked like you and I, he would not have won. That's just I don't believe he will. I also wanted to get out to, and forgive me, listeners, I want to give respect. Several fans here are saying hello. Miss Mahogany is saying hello.
Hi, Mahogany. Love you.
Wonderful lady. We were chatting earlier a little bit. A lovely lady here. Miss, and please forgive me. I believe this might be your lovely partner here, Miss Arjanette Bryant. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Hey, baby.
She's hers, and I will read her comments.
Or Jeanette.
Or Jeanette.
Just call her OJ.
Okay, OJ. Okay, please forgive me, man. Don't beat me. I'm sorry. Don't put any cyanide in the food when I come for dinner. But I am so proud of you, baby. You are the strength of you're the strength our community needs. He may be bold, but he tells the truth. Michelle K. Robertson says hello, and I have several other people out there listening saying hello. So wanted to let you know that you're resonating a lot to the community.
Oh, that's a blessing. Awesome.
Tell us a little bit about, and I know the story, but I want to hear from you, because you had a wonderful video a while back, a couple of them that explained Gigi, but and I know you're probably tired of explaining it over and over. But those who are listening for the first time, who is Gigi? Who is Luta? Who is all the different characters associated with Gigi, and why?
Oh, wow.
How did Gigi get these all these kids, and who is she? Gigi reminds me of my grandma, but how did Gigi get these kids, and she got no man, and all these other different comments I get all the time?
Well, let me tell you, Gigi. First of all, Gigi was. Let me tell you, Gigi was created on Facebook. I don't know quite how it happened. I just don't know. But it was during an election year, and I decided to draw this elderly lady. Now, my kids' great-grandma, they call her Gigi. And I decided to use that name and some of her persona into my character, Gigi. And Gigi started off as a kind of a rough, aggressive, kind of older woman. You know, she was pretty headstrong, and she pulled out a big old baseball bat out of her purse, and she's quick to get you if you sag and that kind of thing. She evolved from that into a incredible character. So Gigi, she is actually, her actual name is Nadine Robinson. She was married at an early age. Her husband was killed during the war. She became very active in the church, and she was very close to 4 people, 2 couples. Those two couples were killed in a bus accident during a bus church event, and she vowed to take care of their daughters. The 2 daughters are Shanice and Marcella. Okay?
Okay.
Now, they grew up, they became successful women and dealing with their own issues, and she met Lenita and Randy in a foster home. And she decided to take care of them because of a particular incident that happened at the foster home. And that's how the whole Gigi family was created. It's interesting. The Gigi family was created from tragedy. That tragedy became a family, and it became love.
My goodness. And I've loved all the different stories. And please, I just enjoy it all the time. The constant reference about the hair, the constant reference about how they act and drive, and all the different things. I just love it all the time. How did you, before I continue on with Gigi part, how did your skills draw or come up? Were you one of those kids writing on the wall, always sketching? Were you playing in school all the time, driving, getting in trouble because you're writing on a desk? Tell us about the culmination of your artistry.
I used to draw all the time as a kid, and I used to read a lot of comic books. And my older brother, Shelton, he was my role model. Mm-hmm. He was my mentor. He still is. He's an incredible illustrator. I've drawn all my life. And in school, I used to draw on the desk. I drew on my test papers. I drew on my homework. And I drew pretty darn fast. My brother taught me how to draw fast. And I've always drawn all my life. But I didn't take it serious until after leaving the Navy. I worked in the hospital for a little while, and I saw this doctor who I thought was being inappropriate and obnoxious, and I created a character called Doc Dog. And after that character, and after that strip, my career just blossomed. But one thing my brother taught me was that go after the passion first. Don't worry about the money. I mean, my brother saw where I was going with this. I said, hey, I can make this thing happen. And I had brochures of Jaguars and BMWs. I said, hey, I'm going to be rich very, very soon from all these cartoons. And my brother, he just kind of set me down and said, look, don't worry about the money. Focus on the passion. You know, if you focus on the passion, people see your work and they know how diligent and how passionate you are about it. The money will come. And I've been drawing ever since. Now, I will say this. After Bush's second term, I took a hiatus. I had to let it go because I had other things going on. I had other businesses. And when I saw what was happening with, I've been following, at the time, a young Barack Obama's career. I started getting that interest started sparking in me again to draw and get back into my political cartoons. So, I've been an artist all my life. Mm-hmm. I haven't been an opinionated artist all my life. My first time I became an opinionated artist is when one of my mentors, Doug Marlette, told me I should draw editorial cartoons. My brother suggested the same thing, and I didn't take them serious. And when both of them told me, maybe you ought to give this a shot, I said, let me try it. And then from there, I've been drawing editorial cartoons since then. It's been over 20 years.
And backtracking, what made you decide to go to the military? What pushed you there, if you don't mind? And you were in the Navy. First off, thank you for your time and service. I appreciate it very much. That I want to give that respect. But what made you decide to get into the military?
Well, what made me decide to go to the military was kind of a sense of loss and a lack of direction. At the time, although I was given scholarships to art programs, I really wasn't interested in going in the art program because I was singing and drawing, and I wanted to be the next Lionel Richie, man. I mean, just like all the other cats. I lost a sense of direction. I didn't know really what I want. I didn't really know quite what I wanted to do in my life. And that's when I decided to join the military. I felt that the military can better help me understand who I am, who I was back then, and what I could do to contribute to our society. And even in the military, I was drawing and I was coming up with characters, but of course, when you're in the military, there's a conflict. You couldn't be doing stuff like that. And I decided that it was time for me to move on from the military and step back into the civilian world. And I started venturing into my craft again. So it was more of a lack of direction. I didn't know my full potential. I didn't know who I was back then. And I felt like the only choice I had was to join the military.
Now, Miss OJ stated on here that you can really sing. Because she mentioned this, and there's a long-standing rule: if you have talent, it must be displayed on this show. So, since your wife called you out, I need you to give me a couple of notes here, sir.
Oh man, that's wrong.
It could be whatever you want. You could be a church song, gospel.
I'm going to sing. Okay, I'll tell you what. I'm going to sing a couple of notes. What I used to sing back in the day. I was a big Heat Wave fan, and I just sing Always and Forever.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, we got women listening on here. We got plenty of women listening on here, so we all they're gonna hold down the fort for you.
Okay, I'm gonna make it quick. I'll make it simple. All right. Here we go. Always and forever, each moment with you is just like a dream to me that somehow came true. And I know tomorrow will still be the same. That's it.
Oh boy. What's next coming up for Gigi? Like Gigi is is a standard out there. Is going to get the following. It's continuing to getting the following. What's next for Gigi out there?
The next thing for Gigi is animation. We are in the next few months going to start looking for a network and animate Gigi. She already has a strong following via email subscription. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to move people over from the best of GG to the GG VIP. And what the GG VIP is a annual subscription where you pay $20, and with that, not only do you support Gigi and my efforts to take it to the next level, but you get to see Gigi in her animated form. So Gigi, for the past year and a half, maybe 2 years, has been all comic strips, cartoon panels. We're taking her and her crew, her family, Shanice, Marcella, Lenita, Randy, the agent, hey, Sneed too, Richard, Kanisha / Rochelle. We are working on fully animating these characters, because what we found out about Gigi is a strong character. She is the primary character in the strip, but she has a very, very strong, supportive family. I mean, Marcella can hold a strip on her own. Shanice can hold a strip on her own. Lenita is the most popular of all the characters. Other than Gigi, Lenita is a very popular character. People love her. I get comments about Lenita every day. And we've used her and Gigi in the anti-bullying campaign, which I partnered with Responsible Artistry / Mahogany, which was really, really a great campaign trying to discuss how to handle bullying and, those kind of things. So the next stage for Gigi, animation. And I was going to announce to my family today that starting this week, I'm looking at animating even all the strips. I'm not going to do any more of the just comic strips. You just look at them. I'm looking at doing a animation strip every other day. So it's important that they move over to the GG VIP, because all the action is over there now. I mean, the people who are already there, they're seeing something different than what you would see in the strip. So you've got two campaigns going on right now, Stephen. Okay. You've got the Best of Gigi, in which I'm doing a comic strip, and then you have GG VIP. They are seeing something totally different than the Best of Gigi fans.
Do me a favor. Could you give me the website, for those who don't know, the website for the GG VIP?
The GG VIP, this is the best way of doing it. If you go to www.CuttingEdgeComics, CUTNEDGE comics.com, all right? You can subscribe there. Once you subscribe there, I announce and I show people, okay, I put the post where they can move over to the GG VIP. But that would be the best starting point. The best starting point is to subscribe as a Best of GG family member. And then when I make the announcement, okay, guys, move over. It's time to move over. The time is the time is ticking. We only have so many more weeks. They can move over because I can post a link to their email. Okay. Because the way it stands now, I'm looking at about probably another 24 days, and the Best of Gigi will be over.
Okay, I want to make sure I got this. I love your wife. She stays on her game. She says, "Please repeat this. How to do it again."
The address is www.CUTNEDGEcomics.com. Now, once you become a Best of GG family member, I will be posting occasionally, at least twice a week. It's time. Let's move over, and I will send a link to the Best of GG family to move over to the GG VIP family, because we've already moved. They're already moving over, man. In the first week, I've had 75 move over.
There's also,
we're talking 2,500 subscribers.
And there's also the little o.biz website. Is that okay to mention?
Now, if you go to www.littleO.biz, what you're going to see primarily GG comic ships. You're going to see the Shanice series. You're going to see the Marcella series. You're going to see the Lanita series. The Randy series, that's the series we're in right now. You won't see that. I may throw a cartoon out there so people can see what's going on. But the Randy series is exclusive to GG VIP. Okay? And this is important, man, because this stuff is hard. I mean, animating is tough. And the amount of time and the amount of revenue we put into this was a major sacrifice. So if we want to see GG on for example, an Expire network or another network, I'm going to need the support of the family. And the best way to support me is to become a subscriber, so I can get other people on my staff to help me to take it to the next level.
One of these days, I'm going to do a big event next year, hopefully soon, but still trying to amp and get things going with Psych Talent Group. I'm going to have to get you up here to fly you up here and speak and showing your cartoon to everybody as well, the animation, so people can get it. And things. I definitely got to get you on there.
Hey, man, look, you let me know when, my brother. And when you say jump, I'll jump, bro.
Let me ask you this. Do you need any more voiceovers? I'll be happy to play agent. Let me be the agent.
Well,
I'll be happy.
I do. But I do, because agent, I don't want to steal what's going to happen with the agent. But I think some of the folks on Facebook kind of got an idea that what's about to happen. And Shanice is speaking. So I will be posting Shanice talking for the first time. And then Marcella is coming next. We've already got Lanita. We've already got Derek. We're going to have Richard. And we are, believe it or not, nobody knows this, but we already have GG. I already have GG.
Yes, and OJ mentioned the ggcomics.blogspot.com also blog page.
The GG Comics, ggcomics.blogspot.com. What I do is anybody who follows the strips, on Friday we go to the blog. And we watch the strip on the blog. That way people can comment. They can get more engaged. That's every Friday. And the blog spot is also connected to the website. So if people are on the website, they can go to the blog. And on the website, I do have the other series. But what's going on with GG now with the Randy series, I do put it on the blog every Friday. Let me tell you, it's very active on Friday. Very active. I mean, now on the average, we're looking at for Friday 3,000 page views on Friday.
Awesome. Now, a couple of questions. I got some questions here that issues, social media things out there that tons of people want to ask, and also I have to ask as well. Well, okay. What are your deal or thoughts on Chicago, the shooting? I've seen the cartoons on it about the guns. They picking up the gun and leaving the person dead on the street. I laugh because it's so doggone true. But the issues of the shooting and the violence in Chicago and Detroit. And recently, over 80 people were shot, 15, 16 people were killed. I made the comment
God,
that.
yes.
I made the comment that it's about time we start doing martial law. This is more than what it was back in the gangster days.
I don't think martial law is the solution. I don't think no, martial law is not the solution. What the solution is licensing and insuring guns. I believe that we have to insure guns the way we insure automobiles. That's what I believe.
Okay.
And once we get to that point, you'll find that there'll be less guns out there. And the other thing is, you have to look at the broader picture of what in my opinion, the enemy is trying to do to us. You know, we didn't create these guns the same way we didn't create drugs. You know, we are on the lower end. I mean, we use them, but where do these guns come from? And who support these guns? And what organizations say that we have a right to use guns? We have to go after them. And the best way to go after them is through legislation. The best way to go after them is for us as a people to go into our communities and take back our communities. And that requires sacrifice. And it also requires, let's face it, it's going to require death. It's a war out there. So my opinion on that, martial law will not work.
I was saying the martial law
will create more chaos.
Only thing I was saying in martial law is just like placing, because there's not enough officers. Every few blocks, have somebody on the street until we can get a handle. I don't want them there permanently. I want them there in terms of just help calming it down until we can get things institutionalized in terms of a program, something. Because not saying none of the work out there that people are doing is not working, because it is, and it's getting less, but it's not less enough. And we're still we lost about almost 200 kids this year, and it's just crazy. And
you're right, but look at it this way, my friend. Look at the Black Panther movement back in the 60s and the early 70s. That is what we need.
I'll take that.
We need and I'm not talking about this new Black Panther garbage. I'm talking about we need a Black Panther movement, a real Black Panther movement of young brothers and sisters who have had enough, and they are protecting their communities from the gang violence, from the drugs, from the guns coming in the communities, in the neighborhoods. That is what we need. So if you say, okay, do we need martial law? We need Black Panthers. Give me the Black Panthers. I mean, we need our own people to protect and patrolling our communities, and that's going to require the same type of movement that we had during the 60s to the 70s.
I agree. Did you ever see the? And I laugh at the cartoon because I love it so much. The Black Dynamite cartoon.
Oh yeah.
And there's an episode where it's probably one of my favorite, if not the most favorite, because I laugh because of the satire in terms of what we should have done, where Nixon poured drugs and money into the black community, or drugs, excuse me, and hoping that it would tear us down, which it did, figuratively, literally. We turned it around and sold it back to everybody, to them, and we used the money to prosper the community. And I'm laughing at the satire because of it, that, if we had did this, we would not be in the situation that we are now, and just get rid of it. It's like we don't.
What's interesting? You know what's really interesting and ironic about all this, Stephen, is this: you've got these baggers told these guns around Target and these and Chipotle's, and they're defending their rights to bear their arms now. And the Black Panthers were doing this during the 60s and the 70s, and they were considered a threat. Okay, so if they can do it, we can do it too.
Amen.
Okay, we have to get to a point where we've just said enough is enough, and we can't keep depending on so-called black leadership. We have to get to the point where we recognize that we are all black leaders, and we have to protect our communities. Okay, because the black leadership has been tainted as well. The black leadership has been compromised, the same way black media has been compromised. And we have to learn how to say, okay, we're going to protect our communities at all costs. We are going to protect our children at all costs. So we're going to support our schools at all costs. That requires a Black Panther movement equivalent of the 60s and the 70s.
Now, when you say insuring the guns the same way we do cars, for those who do not understand, can you elaborate, please?
I lost you.
Okay, I'm sorry. When you mentioned that one of the ways we need to do is legislate guns as we legislate and insure guns as the way we do cars. Can you explain that further for those who do not know, sir? Sir?
Well, this is the way. I mean, the way I see it is like. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, you faded out for a little bit.
But
yeah, we can hear you now, sir.
Okay. The way I see it is like this. If you want to purchase a gun, you have to get some sort of liability insurance to ensure that you will be responsible for that gun. If you do not get that liability insurance, you cannot get the gun. In order to get the liability insurance, you have to go through certain checks. If you don't qualify during those checks, you don't get the liability. You don't get the liability, you don't get the gun. I mean, it's just that simple, okay? We can't, the problem is that we're allowing too many people to freely go around and purchase guns. And there's nothing wrong with having a gun. There's nothing wrong with having a rifle. I don't want people to think that I'm anti-gun. I'm saying there has to be a way of restricting the people who are only interested in inflicting bodily harm on others of getting a gun. They will require that they have liability, and it has to be I personally think it has to be an expensive amount because we're talking a gun.
I
you don't
agree.
Want to spend the money on a liability? Hey, you can't have a gun. Just that simple.
I agree. We need to do more where one of the things I say that, this whole thing of mental background and people checks and things, I've always said we should be checked out by 3 separate doctors more than 100 miles together or some type of way so then you're not just getting approval from a doctor online. Somebody, you have to actually go through several checks between 2 or 3 doctors just to get verified before you have that gun.
Exactly. You know all the drama you had to go through to get your driver's license.
Oh my gosh! If you had to do the same for, if you had to go through, and they know this, you and I both know this, and if they found a way, they can. They just don't want to. That's just the bottom line. But if they did, we would be so much better.
Yes, we would be. But when you look at the bigger picture, it is a never-ending cycle of the same thing. Okay, it's a way to me. This is me. This is a way of suppressing, controlling, and destroying a people. You know, I mean, come on. Some things is kind of common sense. I mean, if you got to go through hell to get a driver's license, and then if you don't have insurance, they'll throw your butt in jail because you're driving without insurance and all these other things. Why can't you go through the same thing with a gun? Why can't you go to a doctor locally who can actually determine how you think, what you're thinking, and how capable you are of dealing with having a gun? These things to me are simple, man. But the problem is our society and the world we live in is designed to suppress and control a segment of our society. And the best way to do that is, hey, there's a free-for-all for the guns. There's a free-for-all on drugs. Hey, you know, you shoot somebody, well, you're going to jail. Jails are being more privatized. So let's go ahead and privatize the jails. Let's make sure that the 1% make even more money. It's a continuous cycle of the same thing. And we have to, as a people, have to come to a point where we say, enough is enough.
Amen. Well, one of the things I've said in the previous past, and I've got soundly criticized, is that one of the things we need to do is build up our communities. In doing so, we need more businesses, and we need to support them. But one of the things I've said that we need to stop creating the same darn things in all the communities. For example, I go down a typical urban street anywhere in America. Heck, I can use Hull Street in Richmond.
Mm-hmm.
Across that street, I've seen maybe 15, 16 different hair / nail / whatever spa salon. I see 7, 8, 9 barber shops. I see 7, 8, 9 hood stores, I call them. Probably not the best name to use, but sell the same thing: baggy pants, the whatever popular clothing line, like there's the, I don't know, whatever the dang caps with the symbol that you leave the sticker on, and the fitted hats. There's a whole bunch of different brands. I know a bunch of people are screaming at me now. But you know, the same that, and if you're lucky, the corner market or the grocery store that's overpriced. And my thing is, we need to stop having the same stores, and, you know, we need to do better. Or the Rent-A-Center, the Aaron's Rentals, whatever. The same stereotypical things that we see in every single neighborhood. But you see less and less banks, less and less investment companies, less and less of it. And they say, well, shoot, we won't do it. Well, it's a two-part problem. We need to go out and get them, and then when they come here, we need to support it. One of the biggest things, there was a Seattle community in suburban Seattle that complained because Whole Foods was trying to come into a black neighborhood. Pissed me to I almost got on the plane and find every single person to vote against it because they were so concerned about losing the quote-unquote black heritage in the neighborhood. Okay, well, black heritage is about your doggone health and staying alive. In this situation, Lord forgive me, I could care less about your doggone heritage. And when it comes to your health does not know a doggone color. Health does not know a dollar. When health wants to come after you, health will take care of you and take you out. So health does not, some things happen
Amen.
more in certain communities, and especially in the black community where high rate of cancers, high rate of heart attacks, we're less prone to have health care, less prone to do anything else or preventive benefits. Our preventive message is take this liquid, shut up, go to sleep, you should be fine the next morning. If it's too bad, we'll take you to the ER and call it a day. But you finally get an answer to getting somebody. Now, granted, Whole Foods is very expensive. Don't get me wrong. But if it means you having an extra chance to do something, heck, you can buy healthy food at, Kroger, Food Line, wherever the grocery store in your region. It's expensive, but still make the effort. I tell people all the time, instead of spying, if you got 10 pairs of the high-end sneakers in your room, in your home, over $200, but you complaining about groceries bills is too high, there's a problem. So just the thought.
Well, I'll tell you right now. And you've seen my work. I've done many cartoons on how we should support black-owned businesses. And every time I post one, I've always get maybe 2 or 3 that say, "Well, I'll try to support, but every time I go to a local rib shack, they don't have good customer service." Now, this is the deal. The problem with so many of us is that we don't realize is that who we are as a community of African Americans and as businesses has been far way expanded. You've got some incredible African American businesses online that we do not support. Now, if you go to your local rib shack or your local salon, or you go to your local barber and they don't treat you right, the proper steps to take would be to give them another shot. Give them one more shot. And then if they still don't get it right, shut them down and find another business to support. Now, see, that's how I see it. And the problem with us is this. We don't create coalitions. We don't create alliances. You know how difficult would it be to have a group of African Americans to go around the neighborhoods and find African American businesses, and then you report on those businesses, and if they're good, you support and say support these businesses. If they're bad, you give them another shot and say, hey, you messed up, your customer service isn't good. We suggest that you probably improve on some certain issues or certain areas, and if they still choose not to improve, you shut them down and support the next one. But we've got such a shallow ideology of what black business is. How can we go to that next level if we're thinking that, African American business consists only of rib shacks and barbers and that kind of thing? And those things are important, but we've got so many talented people out there, especially online, man. I mean, I've met so many incredible, including yourself, Stephen, incredibly talented people doing some incredible things that so many of us choose not to support because our mindset is still set on still thinking about the experience at the rib shack.
I tell them all the time when it comes to sponsorship, heck, either you and I, we both been through it. We seek sponsors, but because, quote unquote, popular topics or popular things, when we go after it, it's a problem. And I say, us, Tavis Smiley, whoever social commentary, things of that nature, when we go after it, it's always a problem. The show that we got the most rated on was probably the one about dating and relationships, sexing, and all this other stuff. But
I remember that show.
and that was a good show. I'm not going to take away from that show. But when we did the sex trafficking, and especially in minority communities, when we done shows on just so many different topics, and I tried to personally stay extremely diverse and a whole range of different things. Some things maybe hit on a little bit more. And as a man, and I had several women that get on me and say I don't do enough topics on women. I'm about ready to scream because you obviously are not listening or pay attention, because I would say 60 to 70 have been related or angled towards them as it is, and you gonna tell me I don't care about women?
Well, the thing is, Stephen, is that you hit the head on the nail. Diverse. We are a diverse people, and we are more diverse on the internet. And you know me well enough to know this. I'm big on supporting other businesses. I love sharing other businesses. Now, Facebook don't, but I do. Okay? I love sharing other businesses because my experiences with other businesses, hey, they're out there. You've got so many of us who are so talented, but we've got to get out of this mindset that we just, my experience at the barbershop wasn't good today, so I can't support black businesses because my experience. That is to me, man. That's just shallow. I mean, that's where we gotta grow up. I mean, that's shallow. That's shallow. When a person come on my Facebook page and tell me they had a poor experience locally, they're forgetting the hundreds of incredibly talented African-American businesses on the internet. And they're judging them according to their experience at a local rib shack. To me, that's not right. And we gotta think. We have to think a little higher than that. We have to think higher. We just have to.
Very much so. I want to give a shout out to everybody that's listening on LegacyInternetRadio.com. Also on the TuneIn application and MixLR page. Miss OJ, Kardron Abbott, Michelle K. Robertson, Evelyn Waters. A whole bunch of people is out here listening. So I thank you very kindly for supporting us on the TuneIn application, MixLR, and the webpage. A couple other things to get to you, sir. And this one's a little bit of a different direction, but I want your thoughts on this. Columbus Short. The young man that was more recently was on the Scandal TV show, but he lost the job and several other opportunities because his recent troubles with domestic violence, battery, all these different things. Recently was in trouble again with the law. Sort of shades of Isaiah Washington. I think Chris Rock, someone passed. When I said that, someone sent me, oddly enough, a video that Chris Rock did, or a comment that he did on BET Awards that I didn't even see, and I was like, these people are taking ideas from my head and put it on TV. But your thoughts on that situation, sir?
Well, I've been following that cat, man, and what he's been doing and his situation personally. With his family and all the reports of domestic violence. Well, for one, that brother need to get his mess together and take care of his family and take care of himself. As an African American man, media is going to be quick to pin him down, as an issue. And he has a responsibility because of his celebrity status. He has a responsibility to carry himself a certain way, regardless of whether he wants to do it or not, or regardless of if he believes it. He does. That will not change.
Thank you. That
will not change. He has to do it. Whether he like it or not. If he doesn't like it, it would be the end of his career. If he swallow his pride and take it like a man and do what he has to do and be responsible and accept his failures and try to be better, I think he can get past it. But he has to understand as a celebrity and as an African American male, he has a responsibility to represent himself accordingly, and the way he represents himself is really poor. I don't support it. I don't condone it, and he should do better. Should do better.
Very much so. What about the whole thing? Granted, it's some time passed, but still going in the media. The LA Clippers situation.
Oh man, I did a couple cartoons on that.
I felt the players punked out. They punked out.
That was a mess. But this is my take on the LA Clipper thing. Okay, the owner was wrong. The owner, obviously, a racist. He is an institutionalized racist. He can fool himself to say he's not a racist, but he is a racist. His girlfriend, she was a racist too, and she played the race card to foul him. But this is the deal. The thing that troubled me about the whole thing was all these celebrities wanting to buy his team. Not one of them ain't even thinking about going downtown Chicago, South Side, and doing anything about the problems plaguing our community.
Amen.
So my thinking is this. To me, that was one of the biggest displays of hypocrisy and silliness that I've seen the whole year.
Sorry. Oh, go ahead, sir. Sorry.
I mean, you had Oprah, you had this boxer, you had LeBron James, you had all these cats saying, we'll buy your team. Can you imagine all that money and all that passion that would, if you would draw that into all the issues plaguing our community, all the issues plaguing our historically black colleges. Okay? So to me, that was the biggest display of hypocrisy and foolishness I've seen all year long.
I'll take it a step further. You want to yell at Angela, granted they have their little crazy ways, but you want to yell at Angela Jolie or Brad Pitt for spending half their fortune on homes in the black community.
Oh yeah.
And
oh yeah. See, that's taking it to another level, bro. I mean, the whole thing is just.
Or better yet, here's the other thing. So all these people bidding on it, but who's going to get the money in the end? The Sterlings. So they could care less what you think.
But here's the deal, Stephen. In the very end of all the stuff, he wins. Because he's going to make billions of dollars, and the rest of them look like a bunch of fools.
Exactly.
Okay?
If you took the money, until you take the money away from him, like, okay, if you sold it and all the money and the proceeds actually went to something else and things of that nature, fine. But, if he sold it and it went to something else, like all that $1 billion went into the community, then something. And I kept telling people, he spent all this money on rebuilding schools and whatever in the black community, whatever, fine and dandy. But he was doing it as a tax break, not because he wanted to. And that's the element that people did not pay attention to. Or better yet, look at all the charter schools out there. We talk about the stores. Look at the charter schools trying to get going. In your area, my area, areas all around this country. I'm not trying to take away anything from public schools. Heck, put it in the public school for all I care. But you want to sit there and say, No Child Left Behind is supposed to make other schools even? Bull. And you and I both know it is because it's underfunded.
I mean, to me, like I said before, to me it was a display of total hypocrisy. If you truly have an issue with his racist escapades on that tape, okay, what these celebrities will be doing is going to our communities, building businesses, You go to these schools and supporting that way, not dealing with him. He's just one racist airbag, man. I mean, you know, everything that the media's done on him, he's not going to change. So what good came out of this? Nothing at all. But this is the problem. We have two classes of people. You have the black elite. When you start talking about stuff about the black elite, they respond.
Big time.
And they respond quick. And this is what us as a people, this is where we really need to wake up. The black elite only concern is about their wealth and their well-being.
And their status.
They don't give a care about us.
Their status. Also their status. As long as we look good in their mind.
Status, man.
Because as long as we look good. I give you a perfect example. And I've thought of this and I didn't put it up on the other day online. I said I was going to wait till I get you on the air and ask for this. Are you familiar with the ESPN 30 for 30 series?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Now.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay. You've heard the shows where we've gone over throughout the years, year and a half. We've gone over several African-American leaders, both here and overseas, stories or what have you.
Right.
Now, outside of King X, Rosa Parks, about maybe take away the top 10, 15 African Americans we all know and celebrate with statues or whatever. Okay, no disrespect. Take them away. You and I both can go over 100, maybe 200 people down the line. Okay, we can do 30 for 30 series, similar in the similar vein, and put that on air. But and we get that. So now, besides the same repeat of the Jacksons, the Temptations, the Five Heartbeats, and the Whitney Houston movie, whatever, there's about 7 or 8 of them that they constantly replay over and over and freaking over again. We have something history lesson, but then we wait till PBS does it, which, mind you, they've done a great job over the years.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, no doubt.
Them, Nova, the series, all this stuff, even Masterpiece Theater, when they highlight black Brits overseas and how they contributed to the war and the leaders, which you and I both know they hardly ever said anything, if we even exist. But so we wait for them, and we still want to complain. But you have the opportunity. We produce their own shows. Heck, they took Arsenio off. Okay? For whatever reason, you hated the show, didn't get enough, whatever. How come his boy is Magic? How come his show is not on the Magic channel, Aspire?
Look, I can tell you why. Because as a people, we are more concerned with being entertained. We want to be entertained. Okay, we don't want to be informed. We don't want to be educated. We're more interested in being entertained, and we're more interested in complaining. We'll complain, or we want to be entertained. So if you know, I'll give you another example. Take Facebook. Facebook is quick to show us videos of police beating up on black folks and those kind of things. But at the same time, Facebook is quick to disperse of any kind of positive black alliances. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to have it. Because think about it. When our eyes are finally open, we will realize that, hey, why do we need Facebook when we could do our own thing?
True.
So but the problem is that we are more involved. We are more interested in being entertained. We are more interested in the Housewives of Atlanta.
Oh, God.
We want to be entertained. We'd rather see our sisters hitting each other upside the head and acting like fools. And we talk about it like it's wrong and we don't want to see all that. But truth is, there's a large portion of us that spend a lot of time watching TV. Look, we spend more money on movie tickets than any other race. So what does that tell you? That tells you that we like to be entertained.
But then at the same time,
Go ahead.
Okay, but at the same time, what's annoying me with that is, okay, I didn't get to see it. I didn't think the first one was okay. I didn't get a chance to see the second one, the Think Like a Man 2, whatever. Okay, all these movies that you think that's good, positive, whatever, or even the Best Man 2, the second Best Man movie. I think I posted this online. That movie is still okay. Finally, it made up to a little 55 million, but it took how many weeks? 10, 12 weeks. If we really want to show something out in full force, okay, start coming out in full force like we did for the elections, for anything else that you want to do. Come out in full force and put your money down where the heart is for that movie, and then let's get it to 50 to 60, 70 million opening night. So let it get to 100 million in 2 to 3 weeks, okay? And I bet you if we did that, a whole bunch of movies, instead of coming on bad black movies on the bookshelf or dollar store or on Netflix, or we hunting it through on YouTube, which is a good medium, but we can get a lot of them on the major screens if they saw that. I bet you if the next 3 to 4 heavily dominated movies got to 50 to 70 million in that first week like everybody else do, we'll be hitting it. We will be hitting
I agree. I agree, but the thing is this, and this is, again, where we as a people have to open our eyes and realize that we have more power than we can possibly imagine. If we realize we have the power to say, okay, we're tired of our movies being shown in 1,000 theaters when other movies are being shown in 3,000 theaters. What do you do when that happens? Well, you don't support Hollywood. The truth is this. At the end of the day, green prevails. It ain't black, it ain't white, it's green. And regardless of how a person feels about you, about the color of your skin, it all comes down to the Benjamins. Okay, it all comes down to the money. We are the biggest consumers in the universe. So why can't we take our consumer power and put it to a positive use? And the best way to do that is to say, okay, we're not going to support Hollywood if our movies are only going to be shown in 1,000 theaters when these other movies will be shown in 3,000. How about this? We're not going to support Hollywood if our movies aren't being shown overseas, showing successful upper middle class African Americans, showing them in Japan and showing them in other countries. We're not going to support a Hollywood that doesn't show that. Why should we?
And they want us. And those movies, and I will tell you, you and I both know, you've been overseas so as I have, and so have millions of others. They want our movies over there. Badly.
Let me tell you something, man. If we respond the right way, Hollywood will respond. Hollywood will respond according to the dollars. If we keep going to see movies and we know they're not doing us right, but we keep seeing these movies, Hollywood's not going to do a dang thing. It's just that simple. They're not going to look. What it comes down, two of the most powerful things in this world: money and politics. They go hand in hand. Of course, money is now outweighing politics because look at the gay and lesbian community. They can shut down a JCPenney. They can shut down a Chick-fil-A. Okay? Because they know if they come together, regardless of whether that gay is rich or poor, they will come together and they will shut down a business. They know they have that power. We have to do the same thing they do. That is, use our money. Let's use our money, okay? Let's use our political prowess, okay, to make things happen, and we just aren't doing it. We're too busy trying to be entertained.
I've said the same thing before. I think I got a lot of people agreed, but I also got a fair amount of criticism when I said the NAACP should just shut down. Or in us, we have the, like you said, the power. If we united the same way, now granted, there's a lot of fallout. regarding the Trayvon. But if we came together in the sense, like, why did we have to wait till that situation before it blew up, or the Gen 6, or a lot of other different situations? If we came together early and often and said, oh shoot, we got to think about this. It was, granted, every single thing is not going to fit all hats. We get that. But let me rephrase that better. Not all hats will fit all heads. We get that. But we'll try to cover the most. So when there was a legislation, a law, or what have you, first thing they looked over the shoulder, even if we weren't there. Hello, NAACP, we got a new law. Can you come check this out? And everything. It was like Dr. King, Dr. whoever, we got a law. Now they like, forget you, we don't care. We don't care if it hurts you. Heck, we don't care if it hurts our own people. We were going to make it anyway because it's all about the rich. And like you said, it didn't care about the color. As long as it was green and piece of paper.
It all comes down to the Benjamins, man. It all comes down to the politics. In order for politics to run, it takes money. It takes money. You ain't got no money, and this is the deal. If any political sect know that the community that you come out of is spending your money on sneakers, hair, weave, you're not paying attention to what's going on out in the world, they ain't gonna pay attention.
Pretty much, and they're gonna keep doing
it.
Simple. And how many times have you seen both you and I posted about the sneakers? But then we get criticized. Oh, it's their right.
Man, we we are we could be a short-term people. I mean, you've got other people. Look, you got other people, other groups, taking their money and investing in businesses, sending their kids to college, and all we're doing, a lot of us are doing, we're spending $150, $250 on sneakers. See, this is where we really need to grow up. We need to wake up, and we need to grow up. And let me tell you something. No group, no government, no Hollywood, no business is going to take any group of people serious that will spend $300 on a pair of sneakers, but won't even vote or won't even support their own community. It's just that simple.
Or even
they won't do it.
And not just the national election, but the lower election. Your
look, we won't even talk about that, because if you're busy trying to get the latest Nikes, you don't know what's going on locally.
Pretty much.
You just don't know.
How many times on one side of town, you seen it on your side of town and all the places we all live, sadly, and I call it out as I see it, many black neighborhoods, regardless, even in upper echelon, will not show up. People got mad at me when I said it should be a law. Most schools have, 2 to 3 PTA meetings a semester, so you got 4 to 6 a year. To me, you should make one per semester, one in the fall, one in springtime, required by law. And the job has to let you off work for that. That should be a paid time off. Regardless, don't take away from you. So you can cut that excuse. Should be a law. If you do not show up for PTA, you will be fined. And if they say, if you don't show up to the second one, you will go to jail. We gotta take a hard stand. If your child fails school without, obviously, mental health, fear, sickness, things like that, that's one thing. But even then, those people are not going to fail you. If you have a good child that's struggling and is really working hard, that teacher is not going to fail that child. Okay, they're going to do all they can and invest everything else. Granted, we got some buttholes out there, but still, you got strong teachers. But if you fail, what it costs, $7,000 to $14,000, depending on the area for your kid, to go to high school or middle school, you must pay a $4,000 fine before your kid comes back to school in the fall, and then that means you don't get your tax refund, you don't get the interest, you don't get the interest benefits on your taxes or on your home. A whole bunch of stuff. So just like you can't register your car, you can't register a whole bunch of things that is going to get taken from you until you pay that fine. That means that parent will make sure, guardian, whoever, heck, the uncle down the street going to make sure you go back to school. People say that's too hard. You can't tell people what to do. Why not? Because who does it hurt the most? our future, regardless of race. And we got 1 out of 4 graduating high school and college now. Come on.
And, the thing is this. I hear people talking about, well, Obama. Okay, yeah, I don't agree with everything Obama has done. But I support him. And I would tell you right now, and you can quote, he's going to go down as one of the greatest presidents this country has ever seen. Period. It's going to happen. And in about 4 or 5 years, people are going to look back at all this and realize that he has created something that a lot of presidents wouldn't even come close to of creating. But this is the deal. The problem with so many of us is this. We're so into this Obama thing, like it's Moby Dick, that we're forgetting that we have our own issues in the community. Okay? So we don't want to bother. We don't want to worry about schools. We don't want to worry about local laws, local bills that could be passed into law. We don't want to worry about any of these things. Think about it for a second. We let stand your ground slip through our fingers. Well, you know why? Because we're so worried about everything else. We let that mess slip through our fingers because we weren't paying attention. If there's anything that is so obvious that should make you rethink how you think, is stand your ground. We let that law slip through our fingers because we weren't paying attention locally. We were paying attention more nationally, but we weren't paying attention locally.
Amen. Sir, whew. We can go on for a couple hours, sir. And I appreciate you so very much.
I know, man. I was just getting warmed up.
Oh, man. I tell you, I don't want the owner, Mr. Marcus J, get mad at me and things of that nature. We go over from time to time, but when it's something like this, it's well worth it, man. I just want to say I thank you so very kindly for blessing us. You got a whole lot of wonderful things going on. You're a member of our family. In fact, you are a part of Enliven Radio.
Oh,
you're not just a guest. You are a part of Enliven Radio. Always, and much love to you. And your work and everything has a home here. And anything that's coming up, we will get out there and do what we can to support you, sir.
Well, you have my love. You have my support. You are my family. And heads up on what's going on with Facebook. Please make sure you press that notification check.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because Facebook, if you're not willing to dish out that money for your fans will not see your posts. It's just that simple. Facebook will make sure that your fans do not see your posts. So make sure fans for Enliven and Cutting Edge, check off the notifications so you receive all the posts. Because Facebook, they're crazy.
Right, because people don't understand it's the game. Not just us, but just in general. And I tell them all the time, if you don't, for example, we've had the SAT prep program. I have not gotten hardly any run because people don't want to spend the money for it or they feel it's useless. But there's a school outside of, an organization outside of Boston area. And it's not maybe about 70, 80 miles outside of there. People spend $14,000 for their child to spend a 4-day boot camp. Okay, now mind you, this $4,000 does not include traveling to and from the location, nor your food, no breakfast or dinner, nor your housing, just the lunch. They give you a bag lunch or a little light lunch and go down something down the street. But in the 8 hours there for those 4 to 5 days, you just learn how to fill out your college applications and writing and take tests. Granted, it's not saying it's not important, but they spend that. And every year they have to do a drawing because they got well over 30,000 people applying to get into this thing. We see how much Sylvian Learning Center, some of the other groups out there. Mm-hmm. But you and I sponsor an SAT program for $500 for a couple of days, and look what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Or you got your cutting edge thing. We gotta look at when there's opportunities there to get your education and benefit your child. You gotta do it. Oh, one last thing I
The
gotta
truth
ask
is
you.
that there's no excuse. There's no excuse.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
And you see me bang on this all the time. Your thoughts of overseas travel, getting your child educated overseas, like traveling to understand culture.
Well, I think that could be a good thing. Matter of fact, my oldest boy, Dana, he's over at Costa Rica. He's traveling there. He's there now, and he's there for 5 weeks on a special program. I think it's a good thing. But again, I think that I would rather this is me. I would rather our people traveling to our inner cities and traveling to what's going on in our communities and really feel what's happening there and get back. Now, going overseas is a good thing because what it does is that it expands your knowledge and it shows you that the world is bigger than just the United States of America. That there's a lot more going on. There's a lot more when it comes to culture. There's a lot of riches out there. But I personally would like to see more of our people traveling into our communities and giving back. That's what I would like to see.
All right, sir. If you have if you had the power to do whatever you want, I become president or you become president, you can change 3 things here without problems of Congress or anybody saying no, you can't do it. You're just going to do it, and it's just law. What are 3 things that you would change?
3 things I would change. I would change the condition in our community. I would change the way our public school system and private school system shows us in history. And I would change it spiritually. Those are the 3 things I would do.
Mr. Cutting Edge, Mr.
Because
Ron
if you put those 3 things together, it changes everything else.
Amen to that. Amen. Mr. Cutting Edge, Mr. Ron Bryant, thank you so very much, sir. I appreciate it. Give us, everybody, the websites, your YouTube and Instagram real quickly, sir.
We're looking at www.littleO.biz. That's the website. You can also find me on Facebook, which is Cutting Edge Cartoons, CUTNEDGE Cartoons. Instagram, I am cut_GG. Okay? Now, you get those 3 together, you'll find me everywhere else. I'm on Pinners. I'm also on Likes. The Likes can be a little provocative. It's very artistic. It has some very nice art on Likes, but it's very provocative. So just kind of be mindful of that.
And what's the website? What's the website to that one?
That's www.likes.com, and I'm under Cutting Edge on the Likes website.
Are you saying Likes, LIKES, or Life?
Yeah, LIKES.com. And I was on Likes before Facebook. And now Likes is starting to kind of pick up more than Facebook because you could do GIF files, we could do some slight animation. And I have to say, on the artistic edge, it's impressive. I mean, they got a lot of art on that on Likes. There's no restrictions. That could be a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing is that you can post what they want, and anybody who wants to see it, they can see it, and you don't have to be spending money. And if you don't spend the money, they'll lock you down. That's Facebook. With Likes, do whatever you want to do. If they like it, they like you, and you create fans. You create followers. That's LIKES.com. You'll see Cutting Edge Cartoons there. You have Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. With Twitter, I'm Gigi on Twitter. Okay, but if you go to my Facebook page, you can click the Twitter icon, and it'll take you right to my Twitter page. So we're moving forward, man. Just like you cats are, man. I mean, you got to do some incredible things. So we're all moving forward together.
All right, sir. Thank you so very kindly, sir, and I appreciate everything that you've done, sir. And we love you. We appreciate it. And please listen, and we're going to get you on here soon, okay?
Awesome, my friend. You be blessed. Give the family my love, and I will be talking to you soon.
All right. Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
All righty.
Everybody, thank you so very much for hanging in there. I know we ran over into your time and family, but I promise you that is one of those shows that you're going to have to sit down and bring your kids and record. I assure you that we will get this up on our YouTube page. And as soon as we finish with the show, the instant replay of the show is available always on the MixLR page once you sign in. I want to thank everybody out there for listening for LegacyInternetRadio.com page, the TuneIn application, and everybody for all your comments, your thoughts, and well wishes to Mr. Bryant out there on the MixLR page. Thank you, Miss Michelle K. Robinson. Thank you, Kedron. Thank you, Mahogany. Thank you, Miss Waters. Thank you, Pastor Tony. Thank you to his wife. Thank you, Miss Yvette. Everybody. Thank you, Pastor Tony and Trish. Excuse me. Give a couple of comments. They said, a great show. Ron is a wealth of knowledge and perspective. Truly, this is his gift, and he shows in his artistry. Michelle K. Robertson said, thank you, Ron, for sharing your wisdom and enlightening us with your animated work. God bless you. Miss Evelyn Waters said, nothing like hearing my brother tell it like it is. Go, Ron. Miss OJ says, hello, Pastor Tony and Evelyn. Great show. Glad you were able to witness Ron in his element. Miss OJ Bryan is, of course, agreeing with them. We just appreciate you very much for everything. And again, let's hear at every Tuesday, from 7 to 9, and also hear our other shows. Ain't No Half Stepping with Marcus J from 7 to 9:30, 10 o'clock. Wednesdays, you have the Green Room 2.0 with Jay Grizzy and Lissa P from 7 to 9. Thursdays, All Throttle Radio, the Black Biker Experience and Cultural Information, a whole bunch of stuff with that show from 7 to 9. Fridays, we have Clutches on hiatus, but we have a whole bunch of repeats of all our shows. Saturdays, you have the P Show from 12 to 2 p.m. Did they just play that? The music-only show with a whole bunch of classics and music and some songs you may not recognize. We're going to play them all. From 5 to 7, we had the throwback, good old school jams. You're going to move your furniture, get your baby powder on, get your water bottles, everything, get your towel, everything. We're going to have some fun, and we're going to get you dancing. And, of course, Deep House Sessions with DJ Renee Melendez from 7 to 9. And there's a lot of fun with that show as well. And just not basic traditional house music. We got house music mixed with all types of stuff. Gospel, house, country, rap, whatever. Just if you open your mind, you're going to be just truly experience so many different things, I promise you. Thank y'all, everybody, for your time and patience. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please email us at enlivenradio@gmail.com. Also, you can hit us up on our Facebook page and also MixLR page. Thank you very kindly. Have a blessed one. Bye-bye.